when we've run this test, more than 50% of the time, it beats the control, whatever the original version of the page is. On average, it gets 20% more conversion. They say, hey, if we show pictures of our end users and our end users go, oh, that looks like me. I'm a white collar office worker. I'm at a workstation and I'm smiling because presumably the software is so delightful to use. I'm going to want to see the product. Turns out you can get way more conversions if you just do two things.
All right, guys, super excited today. Today we have Sahil Patel. He's the CEO of Spiralyze, a predictive A/B testing platform for B2B SaaS companies. Before Spiralyze, Sahil spent 11 years in healthcare SaaS as the CEO of ER Express, a platform for mobile patient check-in, self-scheduling, queue automation, and registration. And today we're going to be talking about A/B testing and how to get the most out of your website traffic. Sahil, welcome.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks for having me here. Really glad to be here.
Awesome. So we always like to start off with this question, but what makes you a revenue rebel?
What makes me a revenue rebel? Okay, I'll say a couple of things. One is, I think personalization, everyone is over-indexed on it. It has a place, but people are over-focused on it, number one. Number two, in the context of A/B testing, learnings are overrated. The biggest learning from most A/B tests is that it didn't work and that you should go try a different test. Number three, that to get big wins in A/B testing, you have to take big swings. So the purity priests, the high priests of stats will tell you change one variable at a time. You should never run a test where you change more than one thing at a time. Otherwise, how do you know if it worked? I will tell you, especially in B2B, and certainly B2B SaaS, the only way to get wins, because most have much lower traffic than a direct-to-consumer business like Pepsi or something like that, you have to take big swings, and you should change multiple things on your page every time you run an A/B test. Now, what are the things you should change? Should you do it randomly? Should you do it based on anecdote and hunches? No, you should do it based on data. That's what I'm going to talk about today.
Awesome. Can we get into a story of a massive change that you've seen one of your customers, clients, or you yourself have made that have produced outstanding or remarkable results?
Yeah, let's talk about what outstanding, remarkable results is. So one is something that produces double-digit lift between the A version, the original version of a page, let's say a landing page, and the B version. That's what A/B testing is. You show half your audience one version of the page, you show half the audience a different version, and then you compare which one got more people to take the desired action. It might be they put something in a shopping cart. It could be they clicked start my free trial. That's very common in B2B SaaS. It could be I'd like to see a sales demo. Those are the three big things. And an example of a big lift would be something that got you 10, 15, 20% lift. Now, picture most people's homepage, and then picture their call to action, and they go to some page where they're going to take an action. Let's say it's start your free trial. Okay, so just everyone, you've probably done it. Alan, let me ask you, can you think of a B2B website that you've been to recently where you either started a free trial or you signed up for a demo or you did something to move yourself towards the process of buying? Let me ask you, what was it, if you don't mind sharing?
Probably SalesFlow. It's one of our integration partners, and we have to set this up for all of our customers, so I always get them on a free trial.
Okay, cool, free trial. And picture what that page looks like. I'm guessing there's some landing page or some post, and there's a button that says start my free trial, and then you fill in some kind of form, put in your email, and sign up to start the trial. Am I correct? And here's where most companies go wrong. Number one, they have a wall of text that's boring. Number two, their form is long-ish, overwhelming. Number three, they don't show you the product. You're there to buy software. And so if they show a picture, it's like maybe it's a tiny picture of the product, or worse, it's what I call a lifestyle image. It's like a happy person. The idea there, by the desire there is good. They say, hey, if we show pictures of our end users and our end users go, oh, that looks like me. I'm a white collar office worker. I'm at a workstation and I'm smiling because presumably the software is so delightful to use, I'm going to want to see the product. Turns out you can get way more conversions if you just do two things. One, you cut out all the distractions. Number two, you show a nice, simple, huge picture of the product. And you want it to be like the wow moment of your picture of your product. Now you want to blur it a little bit. Maybe you don't want your competitors to copy it. It's fine. When we've run this test, more than 50% of the time it beats the control, whatever the original version of the page is. On average, it gets 20% more conversions.
Just showing the product.
Showing the product.
On the splash.
Yeah.
Not even scrolling.
Not even scrolling. You should put it in the hero. Now you want to make it as big as possible. So actually the way I love to run this test, and there's lots of ways to run it. There's no single way to do it. The way I like to run it as I center the form in the middle of the page so everyone's attention is on it. And then I put a picture of the product behind the form. I blur it a little bit so it's not in the foreground. I style it so it looks like a pop-up. It's not a pop-up. You can do it as a pop-up. I think it's better not to, but it looks like a pop-up. Pop-ups work because they demand your attention, but they're messy, they're terrible on mobile, they're a nightmare from tracking purposes. So you get the best of both worlds. That's a little bit of XUI magic. So for people listening that have some of the design and dev skills in-house to pull it off, you should do it. But if you don't, you're just getting started, don't sweat that detail. You can make it real simple. Just put the form in front of a picture of your product.
Is there a website that uses this technique that we can reference?
There are a ton of companies that use this technique. I'm going to give you one right now, and this is not meant to be a commercial or an infomercial for them, but they're a great company. It's called servicefusion.com. I just put it in the chat, Alan.
Awesome. I'm looking at it right now. That's excellent. Okay. So the idea here is, please feel free to explain it for people who are going to work on their own.
So we're at their homepage. I gave Alan the homepage. If anyone's doing this at home, you can go there and then you click, there's a button at the top called Get Free Demo. Oh, you know what? We're running a test there. I want to give you a different one. I'll give you a better one because they're running a different test. This is the risk, not the risk. This is real life. This is A/B testing. I went to there and they're running a test of a different idea. Yeah, which is great. Here, I'm going to give you a different one. This is called record360.com. And now there's a button in the top right. I'm going to be embarrassed if that's what they've changed. They're running a test on right now, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, they're doing it right now. Click on their request a demo. And there's a little bit of flourish there. It slides in. There's a little bit of motion. It's nice, but the basic concept, simple form, beautiful picture of the product. And the idea is it entices the user. I call this the shiny car in the parking lot. You see it, and there's like you want to say, ooh, that car looks cool. And at least for me, I want to now, maybe you should do this when the person who isn't in the car, is you want to look in the window and be like, ooh, what does the inside of the car look like?
I'm just going to share this for everybody. This is it, right?
Yeah, this is it. Really cool company. It's a client of ours.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how you do this for B2B SaaS pages, though.
This is a B2B SaaS page.
Oh, I guess this is.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a B2B SaaS. They sell their software to companies with fleets, big fleets. Yeah, absolutely do this. In fact, this is the place where it works best, B2B SaaS.
Gotcha. So coming back to the landing page itself, what is the point of a landing page? How do you think about that in 2024?
Great question. And I think there's I was at a dinner last week in New York with a group of CEOs, and we had a healthy debate about, is it the era of the brand? What's the era of lead gen? And the era of lead gen, I think there's a little bit of my observation on LinkedIn. This is a non-scientific take, is that there's a little bit of a kind of a thumbing of the nose at lead gen. Oh, this is, by the way, highly overlaps with the outbound is dead crowd. And they're like, oh, the 2023 and 2022 marketing techniques are passé. Oh, they're salesy, you're pitch slapping. And all of those are said in a derogatory manner that like, oh, lead gen is old school. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And that brand it's the era of the brand. It's trust. We're people selling to people. We're going back to the good old days of the sales rep and a personal relationship is what drives the sale. I'm of the opinion that I don't think those are mutually exclusive. Good landing page, to me, lead gen is brand, and brand is lead gen. Here's what I mean by that. A good landing page, the most important thing is that it has a hook. You have about 1 second for your audience to decide, are they in the right place? And you shouldn't worry about anything else until you accomplish that. Because you can do all these other things, but if you don't have a hook that gets them to stay, they're just going to keep scrolling. They're going to check out at least 3 of your competitors. I think everyone knows that. And if you're the same, if you're boring, if there's no hook, you failed. And here's what your landing page is not supposed to do, or doesn't need to do, or you shouldn't do. It's not a wiki for your company. It's not there to convince the person to buy your product. It's not there for your investors to decide to invest in your company. It's not there for your existing customers to decide that they're happy, or for a prospective customer to understand what your product does. It is foremost a hook to get them to stay. And only once you've accomplished that, then give them the right amount of information so they can take the action that they're there to take. Now, if you have a high intent person visiting, by the way, most of your job, if you have high intent audience, is just to get the hell out of their way and let them do what they came to do. There's very little you need to do or can do to convince them. There's a lot you can do to deter them. It's just stay out of their way. That medium intent audience, they need a little bit of encouragement. In the low intent audience, the people they're just researching, they're just kicking the tires. They have zero intention to buy or even think about buying today. There's almost nothing you can do to change their mind.
What is the definition of high intent, medium, and low in your mind?
Those are fluid. And I think anyone that tells you otherwise, the idea that what's going on inside someone's brain and the moment they visit the website, I think is a fallacy. And by the way, it can change moment to moment. And in the span of the same exact website visit, someone can flip from high intent to low intent and vice versa. The way I define it is high intent is someone who has mostly decided before they came to your website that they're ready to act. The medium intent is someone who says, hey, I might be ready, I need a little bit more information. And the low intent person is someone who has probably decided that they either have consciously or subconsciously decided they're not ready to act. They're in information gathering mode, in only information gathering mode. I think a great way to think about it is someone that goes by a restaurant. If you just had dinner and you walk by a restaurant, there is almost nothing that restaurant can do to get you to come in and have another dinner. No one has 2 dinners. It can look great, it can smell great, the food can be their favorite cuisine, but if they just had dinner, there's just no way they're coming in to have another dinner. And likewise, if someone is starving, just sat in traffic for a couple hours, even if the cuisine is not what they like and it doesn't smell good and the restaurant is unsightly, they'll probably come in and get something to eat.
Wow, this is classic. Right time, right message, right person. The right time is the most important thing.
That's right.
Right time, then what you say almost doesn't really matter. So landing page, good, bad, they're going to convert.
Yeah. Don't give yourself too much credit for the high intent audience. Now, you can do a lot to deter them, right? If your form is super long, if it's confusing, if they look at this page and go, what the hell does this company do? I don't even get it.
Are you building the landing page? Do you build it for the low intent, the high intent, or is it? Do you think about that? Is it skewed more high, or is it?
Great question. I think a great way to look at it is actually to map literally the vertical of the page to the intent. So your high intent, I'd focus on the top part of your page, what digital marketers call the hero section. It's what's above the fold. Right. By the way, Alan, you probably know this. Do you know the origin of why people use the phrase above the fold for websites? Yeah, so it comes from newspapers. In the old day of a newspaper, right? You folded newspapers and people bought their newspapers like real time. You walked by a stand and there was a kid hawking newspapers. And they usually stood with the newspaper in one hand. They had a pile next to them. And whatever was going to get them to buy it had to be right here above the fold. So it's called above the fold. So orient your above the fold content, the highest part of the page, to your highest intent. You need a great hook. It needs to be simple. It needs to be bold. You want to have a really nice, simple call to action. Might be possible to actually put the form, if there's a form, some kind of gated action, start a free trial or join a webinar, or sign up for a demo. You may want to put that above right there. Depends. This is very circumstance specific, or you may want to just put a button that says a call to action. And then something really simple. Our data shows social proof is very powerful. So much better than telling people we are payroll software for big enterprise is show them 5 logos of big enterprise that use your software. Because if I go there and I see Walmart, Pepsi, Target uses this to do payroll and I'm big enterprise, I go, okay, they've got the compliance and the privacy and the security and the tech support for me, big complicated customer.
So the above the fold section is for the high intent. These guys are ready to move on it, and they're probably looking for differentiation. Or if that's the case, then are you opting for clarity, compelling, more jargon? Clarity. Okay.
Clarity first.
Clarity
you gotta have
about
a hook, and it's got to be clear.
And what's being clear on, the value prop or how you deliver it?
I think you should, I would not focus on how you deliver it. I would first focus on what is the benefit to the customer. And a technique that everyone listening could use is called bold claim quantitative headline. Right, so here's a mistake I see a lot of B2B SaaS companies make is they have a headline that's about them. They'll say, best in class HR software, the all-in-one platform for financial reporting. It's all about them. By the way, everyone says they're the all-in-one platform or the best in class or the number one cybersecurity malware software. And by the way, your 3 competitors are probably saying the same exact thing, right? If let's say I was a cybersecurity software, I might say something like this: resolve 80% of malware incidents in 10 minutes. I'm just making something up, right? % of day 0 viruses caught. It's got to be bold, it's got to be quick, and it should be numeric. Now look, you got to sit with your product marketing team, make sure it's something you can actually deliver on. But that's so much, our data shows it performs way better than things like best malware software or all-in-one compliance platform.
So specificity is important about how, like, the result you deliver, and to be clear on exactly what you're delivering on. Not just you're going to make money off this, you're going to improve revenue by 50, but it's the thing that your product solves for.
Yes, and you should focus on the first order benefit. When I mean first order is the thing that your product or solution directly touches. Here's another mistake I see all the time in B2B SaaS. They focus on like the 4th or 5th order benefit, which might be more revenue. Like almost everything does one of 2 things: more revenue or decreased cost, right? The further you get away from the direct thing you touch, the less credible it is, right? Because at some point you get all the way, let's take an extreme example, you get to happier life. Sure, if the software works, your life is happier, but it's like a 17th order benefit. Go home earlier, retire sooner, make more money. So stay away from those 5th, 6th order type of benefits. First order, simple, quantitative. That's your hook. And then give people 3 reasons to believe in your hook. Don't introduce new hooks. That's another mistake. People, they start with one and they say 1 hook is good, 2 hooks is better, and 3 hooks is even better. No, you don't start adding people, but hey, we do more stuff till they believe in the one thing that you're saying you do better than different. I don't even say better, I say different than anyone else.
So this is a reduction exercise. And it goes back to your main point, which is if you're trying to showcase the value and being so specific about the first order benefit, that really is targeting the high intent visitor. Then you talked about as you go lower, you go to medium and then low intent as you scroll further down. What is What's right below the fold look like? And I'm guessing that's for the medium intent visitor.
Yeah, right below the fold, what website people or digital people call the first div. You want to elaborate and add credibility to the claims you made in the hero section. So if you had a bold claim with 3 bullets that support it, you had a nice picture of your product with a CTA, and then you had 5 exemplar client logos. You should pick one of those items to put right below the fold. Our data shows a really high-performing technique is to add a second form of social proof right below the fold.
Case studies from marquee customers or?
Yeah, case studies. Now, here's what I do. I love that you did reviews. So the visual hierarchy, your brain recognizes images faster than words. And it recognizes and processes fewer words faster than more words. Yeah, that sounds so obvious. Okay? That's why I like the data shows logos first, because you can skim at it and you can look at logos even before your brain like registers Pepsi or Walmart. I'm picking big brand, like big enterprise brands. You can look at that logo and you know what it is. You don't really even have to think about it. Now below that, before I do case studies, which by the way are complicated and require synthesis and understanding and interpretation, I would do maybe a star rating. Let's say you're B2B SaaS and you have a good star rating on Capterra. You might put like your star rating and then parentheses 3,000 reviews. Easy, quick. If you are trying to show that you're established, you might say, hey, join the thousands of, let's say I sell accounting software to restaurants. Okay. Join the 5,000 American restaurants that use our software. Now you're giving some credibility. Hey, this is not mom and pop. This is not we work with 40 restaurants. This is not we just operate in Georgia. That's where I live. Now, I might even add a little bit more social proof and do a testimonial. And social proof works because it builds on trust. I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. This idea, I think it's a false choice between brand and lead gen. Come back to lead gen is brand and brand is lead gen. Branding is often about building trust. Also, lead gen is about building trust. Showing social proof is about building trust. People come and they want to buy when you solve problems for people like them with problems like them.
So what you're saying is brand and lead gen, they need each other. You can't do lead gen without brand. Brand without conversion is what's the point? So they all have to funnel towards a common purpose.
That's exactly right. It's a great way to put it. You put it better than I could. So I might put a testimonial and I would put the picture, maybe the picture of the person in their job title. So someone go, okay, this is a person like me. I'm going to go back to this. I make accounting software for restaurants. This is the general manager at Applebee's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Then what would you ideally want that person to be saying?
I don't want it. Almost doesn't matter.
Okay. As long as it's more about the brand, the credibility, they know Applebee's and.
Let's agree that it should be positive. It should be positive. People gloss over the actual words as long as it's generally positive and believable, and it's something to do with your product. I used Alan's software and it worked. That's about every testimonial boils down to I used the product and it worked.
I thought the mental model might have been to reinforce the claim or the hook at the top.
Yeah, so that in a sense it is, but if you make it very complicated, then you're asking your user, you're using their finite reservoir of mental availability. So if you get into a complicated thing of exactly how it reduced, quickly I can close my books at the end of every month. It's a beautiful message. And if you have that quote, you could try using it, but most of it boils down to, I used the product and it worked. Great. Now, below that, I think is where you can start. So let's go further down the page. Then you're getting into your medium to low intent person. They're not here to buy. There's almost nothing you can do to convince them to buy. They're probably comparing you to your competitors. They're researching you. They might be a first-time visitor. Okay, this is the person that just had dinner. They walk by your restaurant. Even if you're their favorite cuisine, there's just nothing you can do to get them to have a second dinner. But what you want to do is give them some information so next time they're hungry, they go, Oh, I'd like to come to Alan's burger joint because, man, last time I was there, it looked good, it smelled good, the prices are fair. That's where I'm going next weekend. That's the mindset. So this is where you have the opportunity to give them some more information, maybe a how it works section. What exactly does this product do? Because maybe I don't even quite understand the category or what they do or how it's different. And then case studies are great. If you go a little bit further down the page, if the person makes it all, by the way, less than half of your audience is going to go more than 2 scrolls below the hero of the section. It varies widely by company, varies widely by page, landing page, paid landing page, homepage, squeeze page, all of those. If you haven't, I'd recommend everyone. There's a bunch of great heat mapping software, Hotjar, Full Story, Session Cam, VWO, all of them are really good. I'm not being paid to say that, by the way. And most of them have a free version you can install, and you can very quickly see, don't obsess over the thing that's 6 scrolls down. It shouldn't be trash, but like most of the action is going to happen in that first and second, third div.
So how do you measure this? Now we talked about like the high intent splash above the fold, and then the first div, and then what comes afterwards. How do you measure the effectiveness at each stage? Is there we can talk about tools too, but just what's the mental model to approach this by?
People that spend time on the top of my page, if they don't convert, I'm failing. So if you said, I had 1,000 people come to that page, maybe 100 of them clicked on the CTA, and of that 100, 80 started filling in my form, and of the 80, 50 actually clicked submit. I would start there. Now, there's a whole bunch of down funnel stuff you can do about the people that submitted. Were they actually ICP, my ideal customer profile? And then did they take a meeting? And did they turn into a qualified opportunity? And did they say, sure, but don't try to solve all those things at once. I think on top of the page, that's what you're looking for. Did they take the action? Start B2B SaaS, start that free trial, do a sales demo, or something that it may be a softer CTA, like download a white paper, sign up for a webinar, just join my newsletter. That's probably top 5. I think in the first div, second div, where you have that medium intent, obvious intent, there is still definitely an opportunity to get them to convert, take an action. And you should, without hitting them over the head, you should still have a prominent call to action in each div. Because the further they move down the page, the further they move away from that call to action if it's at the top. Now, a great technique that everyone at home could try experimenting with is what's called a sticky header or a sticky footer. What that means is if you have a call to action, it sticks and it moves with the user as they scroll. So that if they get to the bottom of the page and they're like, ooh, I just read a bunch of really content. I came in middle intent, but I'm persuaded. I'm seeing some things I like. You don't want them to have to scroll all the way back up to the top. What I like to do, especially if you have a lot of mobile traffic, is you want to fix it. You want to make sure that call to action is in the bottom right part of the viewport, right by most people's right thumb where they're holding their phone. Now, if you have a mostly desktop audience, that's a little bit less important.
Got it. And then how about the low intent people? Do they matter?
Yeah, 100%. Today's low intent person is tomorrow's high intent person. There is the ability to capture some of that and turn them into conversions, but I think most of it is, are they engaged in the page? Are they spending time on it? If you have some call to action, like they can read some content or download a white paper or read a case study, that's what you're looking for them to do.
So are the key metrics that you're trying to optimize for is conversion rates, and is it page time, scroll depth? Like, which metrics would you say people should really focus on?
So I think things like scroll depth, time on page, those are secondary. You should ignore them, but they're definitely secondary. The very first thing that I focus on, the thing that delivers the return on investment, is do they convert? Do they fill in that form and click submit, whether it's start a free trial, make a demo request, talk to sales, get a quote, sign up for a webinar. And B2B SaaS, that's the hot commodity. That's what you're trying to get them to do. Convert your website traffic into sales leads.
Where do people typically go wrong?
Great question. Where do they go wrong? So first is that they treat their website, whether it's a landing page or a homepage, they treat it as like a wiki for the company. Every conceivable piece of information anyone in the world could want to know. It's a huge mistake. Let's use the analogy of a restaurant. Let's take a McDonald's. super successful in terms of scale. We'll leave aside my or anyone else's opinion on McDonald's food. When you drive by the McDonald's, you see the arches, and that's all you need to know. You drive by Chick-fil-A, real big here in the Southeast. You see that sign, that's all you need to know. Imagine if McDonald's listed their menu, and behind the menu, they listed all the ingredients, and behind the ingredients, they listed where the ingredients are sourced, and behind the source, they listed the names of all the people that work in the factories. Show the arches. That's the hook. That's the hook. Now, if you pull into the parking lot, and you have some choice, go in, go to the drive-thru. You go to the drive-thru, you see the menu. By the way, what do they show you at the drive-thru? They got 6 value meals because they figured out that's how you convert people. You give them the drive-thru, you give them 6 value meals. They say, hey, I want a number 6 with a Diet Coke. They've converted. Right? There's a lot you can learn in B2B SaaS from the direct-to-consumer world.
There's more data coming through.
Yeah. So that's the first mistake. Second mistake, I'm going to talk about B2B SaaS, is they don't show the product. Right? Now, if you think about, Alan, let's talk about it. Can you think of a car commercial you've seen recently?
Always show the car.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're not a car person, but can you think of a commercial you've seen lately of a car?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, what car was it? Do you remember the?
I'm sorry, I don't know the brand.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just show
a picture.
A Tesla.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, was it a truck or the sedan?
Let's do truck.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what was happening in the commercial?
The car was driving and there was a voiceover.
Yeah. Did they show the person driving the car?
Very rarely, if they do.
Yeah, that's right. Because they don't want you to get distracted by, is this for men or is this for women or is this for families? Now, they might show a little bit of that. If they maybe show the person at the end getting out of the car and it's a happy family or they're going on some fun weekend activity, but it's the car. It's the car, it's the car, it's the car. Imagine that same commercial without the car. What would you have? Yeah, like nothing. It would just be like a nice landscapes or a curvy road or a mountain or something. It's a huge mistake in B2B SaaS. People don't show their product. Show the product. You don't need to animate it. You don't need to add a bunch of flair. By the way, some of those flourishes can help. But just show. And if you're not sure what to ask your sales reps, what is the wow moment in the demo? All of them know it because they can't wait to get there.
Got it. How do we think about video?
Glad you asked. Video is, our data shows, is cannibalistic to conversions. Here's why. Your audience has a finite reservoir of attention. And when they watch your 1-minute video, it depletes their attention. And there's not a lot that's going to refill that gas tank of attention. Let's say if you're lucky, you get someone to spend 2 minutes on your website. And they've now spent a minute of it watching your video. By the way, it could be a great video, well produced, on brand. You've taken them away, you've distracted them, and you've depleted their attention. Our data shows if the goal of your video is to show the product and explain what it does, a single picture of your product will outperform video in terms of driving conversions. That doesn't mean you should kill all the video on your website. Video is really valuable, super valuable, and it can improve your conversion rate. What I recommend to my clients and what I tell you is just take the video, don't put it in the hero section of your landing pages or your homepage. Put it in the first div, maybe the second div. Now, I want to dive into one very specific use case. Sales reps come to marketing and go, hey, marketing team, I got all these prospects showing up for demos, and it's obvious they haven't researched our product. They're asking dumb questions. They're asking things that we don't even do, problems that we don't always solve. Why don't you put a video that explains what we do? They'll watch it, and the people that are in the wrong place won't even come and talk to me, and I'll get only the people that really want to talk. They are 100% right. And what I would do is do what's called dual CTA. Your primary CTA is talk to sales. Your secondary CTA is watch a video. Don't put the video in the hero. They click on it and maybe takes them below the page or to a different page. They watch a video. Great. You accomplish the same thing without taking your high intent audience off path.
Got it. Because you just want them to book.
Yeah. Get out of their way.
One thing. Simplify it. I just want you to do one thing. Makes total sense.
Alan, we got a couple minutes left. One or two more questions. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. I wish we could get to A/B testing. We can do it on the next one, but we could just wrap up.
Let's do it. Let's do another one.
All right.
Yeah.
So A/B testing, how does this all fit in?
So A/B testing is the gold standard way to run an experiment and know if something works before you roll it out for everyone to see. Right? If you had a new cancer drug, you'd want to test it on a few patients. If it works, then test it on a few more, then test it on a few more, and then you'd say, okay, it's safe and it works. A/B testing is no more complicated than that. Or actually, let me put it that way, it's less complicated than that. But introducing a new drug is very complicated. We're going to take two versions of a page. We'll randomly have half your audience watch one version of your homepage, half get the other half version of the page. And is there a difference in the behavior? The behavior being they click on a CTA, fill out a form, or do something. Maybe just how much time they spend on a page. Do they sign up for your webinar? Do they read your white paper? I think where I would say we are different, or I'm different in what we do here, is big proponents of big swings to get big wins, which is meek testing is not super valuable. Yeah, there's a little bit of low-hanging fruit. Change the color of the CTA or the placement or something. It's fine. It won't carry you very far. You need to take big swings, reimagine the experience on the page, change multiple things. By the way, it's 100% fine to change more than one thing on the page at once.
Usually the small thing you change doesn't really matter that much anyway, so change more.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Hill, thank you so much for your time here. How can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so the best way to find out more about me is on LinkedIn. I post every Tuesday and Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. Quick, easy to read, couple bullets, and a usually 60-second video that's visual, shows you something cool that you can do on your website.
60 seconds, everyone can spare it. Please check him out. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for having me, Alan.